Ladies and gentlemen, we had a historic weekend in sports this past weekend as Djokovic breaks the record for most Grand Slam wins ever. A Canadian finally wins the Canadian Open. The gender gap is broken at Belmont Stakes. Manchester City wins their first ever Champions League. Charles Oliveira keeps breaking UFC records. Amanda Nunes retired from the UFC this past weekend. We have two South Florida teams down 3-1 in their respective sports. We have a full slate of MLB with some historic nights. And the Cleveland Browns, breaking news, have a new dog logo. Let's get into the crossover. Novak Djokovic broke the record for most Grand Slam wins ever with his 23rd Grand Slam at the French Open at Roland Garros. Obviously, the record previously held by Nadal was 22. He also became the first person ever to win every single Grand Slam tournament 3 different times, and it only took him 3 sets as Casper Ruud once again goes down in the finals. Star-studded event. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was there, Mbappe was there, Tom Brady was there. The celebrities were out to watch Djokovic break records and make history. You could see the emotion on him. He came in all week kind of stressed. He knew it was on the line. Casper Ruud trying to play the devil, but he was not able to do it as it only took Djokovic 3 sets. He looked ready, he looked calm, he looked composed. You could see the emotion on him, how much this means to him, how much he's been working, and he's going to have a chance to just keep adding on at Wimbledon from July 3rd to July 16th, where he is again the favorite, because how could he not be? Again, Nadal isn't playing right now because he's injured. He had something go on with his hip, which means he had to pull out of the French Open. He says that he wants to play out the full 2024 season and hopes to retire afterwards. He wants to go out on his own accord. So hopefully he can come back from his hip. Let's see what happens. Maybe Nadal gives Djokovic a last little push here and he can either tie Djokovic or take the lead, and then Djokovic have this kind of back and forth between the two tennis goats. So we'll see what happens here in the tennis world. But shout out Djokovic for breaking the record, his 23rd Grand Slam, first ever to win every single Grand Slam competition 3 different times. So shout out Djokovic. Let's hope Nadal gets better. And Casper Ruud, let's hope he can find his way to winning a French Open here soon as he keeps going down in the finals. Now moving on to golf. Rory McIlroy looking for the 3-peat, but does come up short at the Canadian Open, as on the last day, Sunday, he only went for par. Finished under 12, tied for 9th. And first ever Canadian Nick Taylor comes out on top and wins the Canadian Open. In the 69-year history of this tournament, no Canadian had ever won it. And Nick Taylor, with a 72-foot eagle putt in the 4th playoff hole, comes out over Tommy Fleetwood. Both had shot 17. Took them 4 playoff holes to break the tie. And highlight of the night for me, Adam Hadwin, close friend of Nick Taylor, also on the tour, gets absolutely speared by a security guard. He came out once Nick Taylor had won. He was spraying champagne. Security probably thought he was a fan or something. Comes out, spears the guy, and then he says, "Hey, I'm on the tour. That's my best friend right there." So kind of just a little bit of a funny occurrence there, but good on the security. He was on it. He didn't care who it was. Nobody was getting onto that course, I will tell you that much. This weekend we have the U.S. Open in golf. World's number 1, Scotty Scheffler, is the favorite. It's going to be from the 15th to the 18th, obviously. So ending here on Sunday, U.S. Open. Shout out to Nick Taylor for winning it. Going on to some horse racing, we had the Belmont Stakes this past weekend, and Arcangelo did take the win. And for the first time ever in the 155-year history of the Belmont Stakes, a female trainer came out on top. So shout out to Jena Antonucci for coming out on top. First ever female trainer to win it with Arcangelo. So some more history there. Going on, just going to keep going with the history on this episode. A lot of history was broken. Manchester City won their first ever Champions League in club history. I've already made a video about that, so if you haven't done that, go watch my last video. But Man City comes out on top. Inter gave them a good fight, but Manchester City have finally gotten over the hump and won their first ever Champions League. Grealish has not slept since He was seen, I think it was like 6 a.m. or something, still in a full kit, jumping up and down, dancing, drinking, partying, as he should. More history here. Next season will be the first Champions League in 20 years that will not feature Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, Ronaldo is now in Saudi Arabia, Messi with Inter Miami. So it'll be the first Champions League ever in 20 years to not feature neither one of the GOATs. But football is in good hands with Haaland and Mbappe in this next generation, so I'm not worried. But shout out Manchester City. Let's go to some more record-breaking nights here. Charles Oliveira, first round TKO versus Beneil Dariush. Dariush, who was coming in hot. He had 8 wins in his past 8 fights, but Charles just looked way too good at the end of the fight. He said that last time you saw 10% out of me. Obviously, he's been having his struggles here, but today we saw 120%. He cried. You could see the emotion on his face, how much work he had been putting in. Obviously, UFC 274, he missed the weight against Gaethje by half a pound, so he couldn't win the belt, so the belt was kind of void, even though he did beat Gaethje. And then he went out in UFC 280 and lost to McCutchen by submission. Charles, with this TKO, became the first person to ever have 20 finishes in the UFC, tied third most wins with 22, and in the 19th, he got his 19th post-fight bonus, which is another UFC record. So we've got 2 records right there for Charles Oliveira. He came out, he looked good. 4 minutes and 10 seconds into the round, he gets a nice little left kick to the face, follows it up with the left. Dariush goes down. He just ground and pound TKO first round. So shout out to Charles Oliveira for breaking those records, beating Dariush, getting back in the win column. He said, I am the champion. I now want to face the champion. So obviously Makhachev, he's probably going to be facing off against Charles Oliveira again, and I believe that Charles does deserve that fight. So we'll see what happens here. Makhachev tweeted out, said, hey, congratulations, but there's still levels to this game, and I'm on top. So the rivalry just keeps on intensifying. Charles wants to get back to that title. I think he deserves a title fight. Dana's probably going to give him a title fight. So we'll see what happens there. But shout out Charles Oliveira. In other UFC news, the main event, Amanda Nunes, the Lioness, faced off against Aldana, completely dominated her, didn't finish her. Aldana has a chin on her. She's tough, I'll give her that. But she was not able to finish her. But she did come out with a win. And afterwards, she put the 2 belts down on the UFC mat, pulled off her gloves, laid them both in the middle of the ring, had a little moment, got on her knees, prayed, or just thought about how thankful she was, and did retire from the sport at 35 years old. Again, retires a double champ. Afterwards, she said that she's having some nerve problems in her leg that she's been having for a couple of fights here. So it's good. She goes out on top. She goes out on her own accord. She didn't get an injury that pushed her out of the sport. I always love to see people going out on their own accord. So shout out to Amanda Nunes. What a career that she had. The Lioness, she was the face of the women's UFC. And now Dana White came out and said afterwards that this is probably the end of the women's featherweight division. There wasn't much competition. They couldn't really find anybody to challenge Amanda Nunes, but somebody who has been challenging Amanda Nunes came out afterwards, and this is probably who Dana's going to want to put as the next face of the women's UFC. Juliana Pena came out and tweeted, I scared you so bad into retirement. Personally, congratulations. Professionally, what the frick was that? I don't know why Juliana Pena is talking, if I'm going to be completely honest. She had a shocking win in UFC 269. I've never seen Amanda Nunes look that bad. She submitted her. And then in the rematch, Amanda Nunes came out and absolutely embarrassed Juliana Pena at UFC 277. And now she was supposed to fight Amanda Nunes, but apparently got hurt, something with her ribs, so she had to pull out. So I don't know why Juliana Pena is really talking, if I'm going to be honest. But I guess the whole marketing machine for the UFC, she had to come out and kind of stir the pot a little bit so that she can be the future face of women's UFC. So salute to Amanda Nunes for a great career. Thank you for all of the memories. Shout out Charles Oliveira. And now let's move into some Major League Baseball, where we had another historic night because history was just all over this past weekend in sports. Andrew McCutchen got his 2,000th career hit. So shout out to Andrew McCutchen. He did it in front of the Pittsburgh fans, which I always like to see good accomplishments happening in front of their home fans. Gunnar Henderson hit a 462-foot home run, the longest home run ever to land on Utah Street in Camden Yards in the 31-year history of the stadium. So absolute nuke there by Gunnar Henderson. Jock Peterson also had a night on Sunday, going 4 for 4 with 4 runs, 2 home runs, and 4 RBI. So shout out to him. Shane McClanahan became the first pitcher this year to reach his 10th win in a solid 7 innings against Texas. He's got 1 loss on the year with a 2.18 ERA and 92 strikeouts in 11 games. So absolute unit there, Shane McClanahan, obviously with the Rays. Going on to another Shane. I'm thinking it's going to be one of these two Shanes with the Cy Young. Shane Bieber, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts against the Astros. So another great night there for Shane Bieber. Rafael Devers loves batting against the Yankees. We all know that. This past weekend, he had 2 home runs in 3 games against the Yankees. The Red Sox ended up taking 2 out of 3 against my Yankees, and my Yankees just keep on struggling without Judge. So let's hope that we get Judge back, because things are not looking good for the Yankees. Who is looking good right now is the Arizona Diamondbacks, as they are hot right now. Their record is 40-25. They are tied for the best record in the National League, tied with the Braves. They've got a 3.5 game lead in the NL West. They're on a 5-game heater here, and they're on pace for 100 wins. So the Arizona Diamondbacks are an absolute unit, a wagon this year. Let's hope that they stay hot, and they deserve it after so many tough years down there in Arizona. And don't look now, but another team that is hot, the Oakland A's. So much has been talked about them moving to Vegas, their stadium being an absolute dump. Things just not looking good for the A's. Nobody's going to the games. More fans are going to the minor league games. But the A's are on a 5-game win streak, and tonight they play the Rays, which means that their momentum is probably going to be stopped here. But for the sake of the whole AL East, let's hope that the A's can stay hot. And speaking of the AL East, this 2023 AL East has the best combined win percentage by any division by a long shot. The closest is the 2002 AL West with a .566 win percentage, but the combined win percentage for the AL East this year is .591. So the AL East also on a historic run here. Absolutely insane what I'm seeing between the Orioles and the Yankees and the Red Sox and obviously the Rays, and it's just absolutely insane. I'm not loving it, but we are on pace to be the best division ever in the history of baseball. Now, let's check out some power rankings. As every Sunday or every Monday, we get some new power rankings from the MLB. No movement in the top 2 as the Rays and Rangers stay as the top 2 teams in baseball right now. The Braves move up 2 spots. They were in 5th last week, but this week they are in 3rd. The Orioles move down from 3rd to 4th. The Diamondbacks go up 2. Last week they were in 7th place, but they are in 5th place on the power rankings this week. The Dodgers down 2 from 4 to 6. The Astros move down 1 from 6th to 7th. And the Yankees, Jays, and Twins stay at 8, 9, and 10 respectively. So those are the power rankings for this week in the MLB. We've also got some All-Star voting, as All-Star games are around the corner. The 2 players with the most votes are Shohei Ohtani for the AL, and in the NL, Acuna. Acuna has amounted over 1 million votes already. Quick update here on the squad, just because I want to look at kind of the progression and see if anybody falls out or anybody makes their way into the All-Star game votes. For the AL, we've got Yordan Alvarez, Trout, and Judge in the outfield. Third to first, we've got Chapman, Bo Bichette, Simeon, and Vlad. Catcher, Adley Rutschman, and Shohei Ohtani in the DH spot. In the NL, we've got Lourdes Gurriel, Ronald Acuna, Mookie Betts. And then third to first, we've got Nolan Arenado, Orlando Arcia. Am I a casual for not knowing who this guy is? This is the first time I'm hearing of the name. Probably just got to do more research. Second, we've got Luis Arias and Freddie Freeman at first. Sean Murphy catching, and J.D. Martinez in the DH spot. So, again, shout out to McCutchen, Gunnar Henderson, Peterson, McClanahan, Bieber. The Diamondbacks, the A's are hot, and the power ranking has gotten some movements. Now let's move on to the NHL and the NBA. The NHL this past weekend, the Knights beat the Panthers 3-2 in Florida to take a 3-1 lead. We've got Game 5 tomorrow in Vegas, so the NHL playoffs could be coming to an end here as soon as tomorrow in Las Vegas. And the NBA Finals could be coming to an end here tonight, as the Miami Heat are down 3-1, fighting for their lives in Denver. Jokic looking to win it all tonight. And like I said in my past video, I was wondering if we were going to see Tyler Herro, and it is confirmed that Tyler Herro will play tonight for the Miami Heat in Game 5. So hopefully, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully Denver win it. Hopefully Denver win it. I just don't want these sports to come to an end, because it's gonna be slow on the sports side here once these two are done. So let's just enjoy some basketball. Let's enjoy some hockey tomorrow, as these two leagues are coming to an end. We'll have MLB, golf, and tennis carrying us the rest of the summer, and we're gonna be having some free agency news also carrying us. So if Denver is going to win it, I just hope that they either win it tonight or in Game 7, because I want to see them celebrating in front of their fans. And same thing with the Golden Knights. So let's just keep our eye out on those two series that are probably coming to an end here within the next 2 days. And just in breaking news on the Pat McAfee show, the Cleveland Browns have a new dog logo. I'm going to put the two logos right here that were put up for a vote. The one on the right was created by somebody in the team. I don't know if it's like their social media department or something, their graphics department created the one on the right, and the one on the left was a fan submitted logo here for the Cleveland Brown dog logo. And today on the Pat McAfee show, it was announced that after a vote, the winner is the one on the left. So the fan created logo did win. This right here is the Cleveland Browns new dog logo. I personally like it. I think it's better than the one that the franchise created. So shout out to the Browns for getting their fans involved, having this vote, and shout out to them for having a new dog logo. And that is the crossover for today. Again, just go over it all. Djokovic, Grand Slam record, Canadian winning the Canadian Open, Belmont Stakes woman finally wins as a trainer. Man City in the Champions League, Charles Oliveira breaking records, Amanda Nunes, shout outs for the great career. McCutchen, Gunnar Henderson, Jock, the two Shanes in the MLB dominating. Tonight we've got the Heat versus the Nuggets in a potential deciding game. Tomorrow we've got the Knights versus the Panthers in a possible deciding game. And the Cleveland Browns have a brand new logo. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for watching. Make sure to hit the like button for these daily videos. Come back tomorrow. We'll talk over the Heat Nuggets, see what happened there. Make sure to hit the like, make sure to subscribe, comment something down below. And that has been the crossover.